Cannonball.
Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 51 of the Third Banner Pod, The Aftermath. Guys, I don't know about you, but it's a somber night in the Finn household. After having to play or watch that game tonight, it's just, it's a sad night, and I'm pissed off. I don't know about you guys, but what do you think, Kyle? What's your first thought?
Well, I probably won't have near the emotion I usually pack. I've been pretty sick, but I feel good enough to come on here tonight and felt like I had to. I actually, I'm past feeling somber. I am. I think that, for me, we've gotten beaten to the ground so many times now. Like, this game here went exactly how I thought. My biggest takeaway was I didn't feel like UK really tried very hard. Like, I didn't feel like they did much of anything other than just coast up and down the court without any resistance. But for me, it's almost like, we need to move on. So, yeah, would I rather us beat UK? Absolutely. But I do think this is over. And if it took this, unfortunately. I'll never root for UK to beat Louisville. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to rip off the Band-Aid. And, I think that's where we're at. And I do think a change will be made. So we'll have to – I'm keeping my phone close to me. And we'll see what we hear within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Pat, how are things in the Kelly household tonight?
Well, I watched the game by myself because my wife went to the in-laws to have their UK rah-rah, and I will never, ever go to that shit. So, but I'm with Kyle. I'm not mad or sad anymore. I'm indifferent to games, including the UK game. The only thing that pissed me off tonight is hearing Cats chants on the TV and seeing a bunch of blue, less blue than I thought, but still a bunch of blue. And then Trey White pissed me off tonight too. But other than that, everything else was just me sitting there like I was watching the Real Housewives of New Jersey or something. So that's kind of my feelings on it.
Ty, what'd you think? How are you feeling?
Well, before I even get into that, I'm going to address the one positive tonight. And I think it's necessary because I've called him out in past episodes, and recently he's played so well. And tonight I thought he played his ass off, seriously. And that's Braden Huntley-Hatfield. He was great tonight as far as I'm concerned. 8 of 8 from the field, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. Defensively, I thought he did as much as he could, considering, everybody else in the perimeter let any UK guard go right by him. I thought he played his ass off, and I want to make sure that he gets, the flowers that he deserves because he's playing really well recently, living up to his potential. So good for I feel good for the kid. He's playing well. But in terms of the game, how I feel, I'm not surprised that's how that went. I'm not surprised at all. I'm not mad. I'm not sad. I'm ready for this to be over. I'm ready for it to be over so we can finally move on, try to enjoy the last half of the season as much as we possibly can. And hopefully tonight was finally the end. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll bounce off those BHH sentiments. The kid has done a complete 180 from this time last year. The way he's been locked in the past 3 weeks, especially, he's played his tail off, man. Again, another double-double, and there's not a lot negative you can say about him. He is playing very, very hard. So there are some positive spots that you could look at. He's one of them for sure. So, that being said, that kid, he is doing it. He's realizing his potential right now, and he's playing up to his potential right now. He's doing exactly everything that we thought he could be, and so we'll get into the game and the dynamics a lot more, but that's pretty much what I expected. I'm with you, Ty. I mean, not a whole lot to say about that.
Captain Hampton says, Ross, that jacket is fire, and I have to agree. I'm a little jealous.
Nice jacket.
Hey, let me get you that.
I don't know what this is, but
He's feeling his boobs.
Hey, it's that Reebok, baby. It's that old school Reebok throwback.
Reebok even in business anymore?
Yeah, they are.
They are.
I mean, in some capacity, this jacket's from way back when, the days of Iverson crossing dudes over and being the answer. I mean, this is from back then. This is vintage. This is vintage stuff right here.
So
for you,
starter jacket.
I got one of them too. Don't worry. But for you youngins, you don't know nothing about this right here.
So I think the big key, as far as, obviously we were the worst team, but the defense tonight was just terrible. I mean, it was abysmal, and I feel like you cannot beat any team playing the kind of defense that we played tonight. Yeah. I feel like UK was on cruise control. They didn't really. I don't think they really went all out. I think they just threw long passes down to transition, and nobody really contested them in the lane. And then that also helped open up the 3-point shot. And it just amazed me how bad our defense was. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield did play well. I thought Tyler Johnson played his worst game as a starter, at least. And, or at least getting significant minutes. I did not think he played very well tonight. He was in foul trouble. I was hoping with Dillingham being as good as he is, I didn't think Tyler was quite that good, but I was hoping he offset some of that with his own speed.
No, he didn't. He was 0 for 6, 2 points with 4 turnovers and 4 fouls. So
yeah, he's he's not terrible. He had a terrible game, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So and then Trey White had another one of his Trey White games, but unfortunately, I've come to expect that out of him. He's just usually when we lose and we lose big, you can look at Trey White's stat line, that tells the tale. But I'd say my most disappointing part is the defense. Like I said, somebody just call me, let me know when this is over.
Yeah. I thought the defense, like you said, was awful. And I'm so disappointed in Trey White this year. I watched him at USC. I thought, man, this guy has some tools that we could work with. He looks slower than last year, less athletic. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing or what, but he looks worse than he did last year. I actually thought Kentucky's defense was pretty bad. I thought we got a lot.
I agree.
We got in the lane. We got some open looks we didn't hit. I thought, the two bright spots for us were BHH, which, like we said, he's really grown the past couple weeks. I thought Clark played pretty well. Had a couple bad turnovers, but other than that, he played well. Other than those two, though, there wasn't much to like. I expected coming into this game. I think if you look at the stats, analytic type stuff, we give up. We're in like the bottom 5% of giving up wide open threes.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky this year, for the first time in a while, is a good 3-point shooting team. And tonight we gave up a bunch of wide open threes to a good 3-point shooting team. And what they shoot, over 50% from three. So that didn't surprise me at all. The only thing that surprised me coming into this game was the line was only 13.5 points. And that's with 95% of the money on Kentucky. So Las Vegas took a bath.
An absolute bath, which is crazy because it was 19 this morning. I heard Blankenbaker and Diener talking about it this morning. It was 19 this morning. So for that line to move 6 points in a day, I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. I'm not a big bettor, but I was telling everybody I knew, I was like, take that over on that spread. Take it.
I got to hit pause real quick. Northeast Kentucky Outdoors says, yes, neither team plays defense the whole game. Donnie Tyndall would have Louisville team playing hard the whole game and making free throws. I got to hit pause on that comment, Northeast Kentucky Outdoors. That has to be a troll. No, ain't nobody in hell wants Donnie Tyndall to be our coach. So that
I don't know who that is.
He was Morehead State's head coach whenever they beat us in the tournament with Preston Knowles. And then I forget where he went to after that, but he was a total failure after that. I don't remember if it was Auburn or where it was that he went after that.
No,
it wasn't Auburn.
It was I think he went to Nava, not gonna fucking matter. So like that's where he went.
Ross, what do you think about Donnie Tyndall?
I don't want you for Louisville basketball. Oh man, definitely right there.
They're gonna be playing that clip at Ross's funeral, man.
I don't know about you guys, but like I am actually struggling to hold it together. Like I know we all expected to lose the game tonight, but it's never okay for me to lose to Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm just, there was a time where, and Kyle and Ross, you guys will remember this, and Pat, you probably will too. But there was a time where, like, if you lost the football game, you were guaranteed to win the basketball game.
I remember
and vice versa, because neither school could sweep the series for the year. It was always a split. I mean, it went on for like 15 years.
Unfortunately, that's more of an indication of our football team this year, but we're not going to go there.
I'm just sick of our basketball program being where it's at. Like, I can't take it anymore, guys. Like, I just can't. Like, I need something positive, and we're just not getting it. Like, it's starting to affect me. Like, when I watch the game, I just sit there and be miserable for the 2 hours that I'm watching the basketball.
It's an absolute chore to watch our games. It's a chore. It's not something
like
anybody would do for fun unless it's the team we're playing. It's fans.
Yeah. I was doing chores while I was watching the game tonight, so I got a shit ton done around.
Well, you probably enjoyed the chores more than watching the game because it is an absolute bear of a chore, and that's where Josh heard you better. I mean, all the thoughts out there are that you're going to make a move tomorrow. I would not delay this. You've pushed it back. I would not delay this one because it's not going to be good for the fan base at all.
No.
I'm just being honest. That's not a threat. It's just like, dude, everybody's held out, but we all know this big 13-day break's coming. If you just sit on like behind the scenes and don't say anything and a bunch of days, it's going to be a disaster, man. I'm not saying the interim's going to come in and kick ass. It's just we need a change now.
It doesn't make any sense to make the move after that because why would you push an interim staff into that situation where it's limited days to prep and get the players on board? Like, this is the time. So like, I know we haven't gotten information that EULA board meeting is scheduled yet. I know that's
the thing, Ross. I think might be a myth. It's a thing. I don't think it's a thing for firings, and I've learned that because I put that on the message board. I got raked over the
and here's the thing: you can make that move, all right, but you just don't vote on it until the EULA board makes that vote on it. So like tomorrow, that move could happen, and you just say, Kenny Payne is no longer the coach of this team. And then you get that EULA board meeting announcement on Sunday. Yeah. Like it is what it is. But this is a big 24 hours right here. Like it really is. Like we're all right there. I think we saw today that there were definitely some wheels in motion today. And we can get into that. There were some there were some things put out there today that were not a coincidence. And I think this thing is moving.
Well, the author was on Mark Ennis's on the drive with Mark Ennis at 3:00 on 939, and I think he got on there at like 3:30, but he was trying to say it was just a random coincidence because the UK game's a big game, and that's why they put it out at that time. But I don't know. I don't care. I just know there's plenty of smoke out there that a change would be made by this time if the season wasn't going well, and it's been out there for a while, and it's gained a lot of steam. Well. And I'll tell you what, if he goes out there and just sits back there and doesn't talk to the fan base and we just sit there and wait, all hell's going to break loose because this is the breaking point for a lot of people as far as that goes. Yep. I don't think people are that shocked or bummed out we lost the UK because the thought is, well, yeah, we would rather beat UK, but if we're going to lose to them and in the way that we thought we would and we did, then at least we know a move's going to be made in the right direction. And again, to anybody that says, what's the point of making a move now?
I agree, Devin Jutz.
It's so you can salvage somewhat of a fan base during the season and kind of get people at least to see like, hey, you guys actually give a crap. And, we're going to put this thing, we're moving in the right direction, even if it's not going to happen. I don't think an interim is going to come in here this year with this roster at 5-7 and kick ass and get us in the tournament. But it will be a spark that the next coach, whoever that is, can utilize. And it starts the wheels in motion for more positive vibes around here. You can't let this go another 2 months. You can't do it. I'm sorry. Swallow the $2 million. I know people are, you can't just swallow the $2 million. Look, man, if we're talking about $2 million being like a make or break, then we're in trouble no matter when we do a firing. We're in deep trouble. So that being said, do it now.
Well, Steve, I mean, and there's I was going to say, there's something to be said too about, not making that move. You could possibly be costing yourself $2 million in revenue in the Yum Center, the proximity of Whiskey Row and the tax dollars. Like there's something that you can't quantify until it's after the fact. So I would say at worst case scenario, making the move, it can't hurt because we've seen what this is going to be the rest of the year. It's going to be that, or it's going to be worse. Like that we cannot have that happen. We cannot have that happen. It is a economic failure. Okay. Not only on U of L, all right, but on the downtown Louisville district. And when that fails, that has a ramification at the state level. Okay. You're talking about tax incentive dollars that get spread out amongst the state.
No, we're hurting small business too.
This cannot be sustained. This has to end. So you have nothing to lose by making this move. Well, you should make that move now.
You're failing the city. You're failing. I mean, we talk about, Kenny talks about this is about the kids. We're failing the kids if we keep Kenny Payne around. Mm-hmm. I mean these guys. I mean, in the game today, what we're running zone, which we don't know how to play against a good shooting team. That's just, it's evident that we are not, for these kids, we are not getting the best out of them because we don't have someone in the position that can do that. And I'm not saying an interim is going to make a ton of difference, but it gives these kids a chance to have a different perspective and hopefully improve their games, which can, impact their basketball careers for the future. So if we care about these kids, I think you've got to look at the coaching position and get somebody else in there to hopefully help these kids develop, man.
And Steve Uelkard says, how about Jay Williams at halftime? I've seen a lot of people commenting about what Jay had to say at halftime. Does anybody have a brief synopsis? Because I actually stepped out of the room to come set the show up for tonight during halftime and missed what he said.
He was basically saying that the players have quit on Kenny, and they're not fighting. They're not, there's no toughness. They're not fighting for him. And I think Seth Greensburg kind of shut a lot of that down right away. Because
I didn't think that the team showed a lack of effort today. Like, I mean, you saw
not in
Tyler
the first half. I'm sorry.
I didn't either.
Not in the first half. The first 16-ish minutes, I thought was some of the best minutes that we've played.
Yeah, I didn't think they quit on him at all.
Reeves was just hitting crazy tough shots. And I think eventually, I think it was Reeves or maybe Shepard hit like a 3 at the buzzer on one of the possessions. There's only a few minutes left, and I could just tell that kind of broke the players' backs. And I think all the energy and the defensive effort just plummeted after that because they were just hitting some crazy stuff. But I want to go back to something that Larry said, and this also kind of piggybacks on what you guys have been saying. Larry said, this was about 10 minutes ago, he said something like fans haven't demanded better. And I gotta say, Larry, I disagree. I can only speak for myself, but I haven't gone to any of the games this year. I'm not going to give U of L my hard-earned money on this product. And I know there are a lot of other people, again, I can only speak for myself, but there's a lot of other people that are in the same boat as me. We're not going to support this with our money. We don't like where this is going. And that is in and of itself like a protest and demanding better. You saw the crowd tonight. I remember when they switched over on ESPN from, I think it was Around the Horn, to the game. There was a wide shot of the lobby at the Yum Center, and there was nothing but blue. Nothing but blue. There was like 2 patches of red in there. And I think the fans are showing that they're demanding more and demanding better because they're not going to the games. You see it when we play Arkansas State and when we play whatever little school. There's 2,000, 3,000, 8K at most. People aren't going. People aren't supporting the program. And I think that's a protest in and of itself.
Yeah. Definitely.
Devin Judge says the success of Jeff Brom sped up the timeline. I actually totally disagree. I think as passionate as U of L fans are about U of L basketball, I think that we'd be in the same spot right now. And one of the things I was just kind of thinking about is at the end of the Chris Mack era, as frustrated as we all were, we could still point back during his tenure at certain specific times where we were enjoying Louisville basketball during his tenure. True. I can't think of a single instance during Kenny Payne's tenure that I was like, man, that was a fun game to watch, or man, I loved that. I can't think of one time.
Well, there's only 9 of them. I mean, shit. I mean, there's only 9 of those times, right?
Well, I'll be honest. The most,
none of them were against anybody good.
The most enjoyment I've had watching a basketball game in the Kenny Payne era was the Texas game, which we lost. I mean, that was the only game in 2 years.
Think about that.
Where I sat in front of my TV and my heart was racing. And I was like, gosh, man, this is how I used to feel. That's the only time in these past 2 years I felt like that, and we lost the game. So
I think the next Louisville lore will be your top 10 favorite moments of the Kenny Payne era. That's going to be
a
funeral.
The next Louisville lore. But Larry, hey, I see you commented back. I agree. The pressure is now on Josh Hurd because we talked last week. I said that I felt like he wasn't prepared for what we're in right now. And I thought last week was the time. There's a long break between the next game, correct? So this should be this needs to be it. So the pressure's on Josh.
Desmond, sorry to hear about your granddad. Hopefully things are okay with him. So thanks for watching, and hopefully everything goes well with your granddad.
Yeah, so he's on the clock with the majority of the fan base right now. I think he put the wheels in motion with leak to Goodman about the interims, talking to the players about who their next coach could possibly be and what their thoughts were. Well, then we hear, well, it's not going to actually happen. And there was no real reason given. It's my understanding it's because we didn't have the interim staff in place yet. So we had to wait. And I know there was some debate on, I know a couple of people out there were adamant that it was because we had Carter Knox on campus. Well, Carter Knox isn't on campus now, and he hasn't been on campus all week. So if that was what it was, he would have been fired as soon as Carter Knox, boarded a plane and went home. So I don't buy that. But, people hear things or people believe things. That's fine. I'm not saying people didn't hear that. And even our athletic department could have put that out. I'm not sure, but I'm not buying it. I really think that the real problem was that we didn't have our interim staff in place yet, so we had to wait. But you can't leak that out and keep them now. No, and not after the UK game with a 13-day break. No, can't do it. We better hear something tomorrow. That's where my foot's been put down. Time to put up or shut up. And if you're not firing them tomorrow, get your ass out there and say you're keeping them the rest of the year. Get your ass to the podium. I mean, that's where my frustration is, because this whole, we're going to leave the fan base in limbo and just not talk. That's done, brother. That's done. We are 5-7. We got 13-day break. Get your ass out there to the podium if you're keeping them and say he's staying for the rest of the year, because we need an answer.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you go through professional ranks, the college ranks, and usually at some point an AD comes out and gives that vote of confidence.
He hasn't done anything.
Whether it's a vote of confidence that, hey, yeah, we trust him, and then he gets fired, or it's an actual vote of confidence. We haven't heard that from Josh at all. My opinion is, and doesn't excuse Josh of anything, but I think he is trying to get everything set up for the next staff, whether it's people outside of the current staff or people on the current staff. He wants that set up before he does the deed, because I think he thinks, and maybe he's right, that if he does this and something falls through with people coaching the team, and we're left holding a stick or whatever you want to say, then you start looking at players being like, well, what the hell's going on here? We're bouncing. But there's been plenty of time to figure that crap out. So I'm not sure why it hasn't been figured out yet.
Yeah, and people thinking that Sky Clark and Brandon Huntley Hatfield backing their coach is, saying they're riding with them forever. Well, not that they aren't. I'm sure they're supportive, but they're not going to get on there in a press conference and say, yeah, we're done with them too. Get them out of here. So that stuff doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I mean, I'm sure they do like Coach KP. It seems like he's a very personable guy. So I don't think that's the issue. It's put up or shut up time, man. And if you're gonna, shit or get off the pot, man, because you've left the fan base in limbo far too long, in my opinion. And now's the time, man. You're either doing it tomorrow or you're not doing it for the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying. If we don't get news tomorrow, I'm going to be highly disappointed. Okay. I mean, because some of us in here and the Third Banner Pod, we get some info. We bounce some things off of people, and we've heard some things that are, I think, correlate to what others around town are saying, and we're involved in that. So if this move doesn't happen tomorrow, God, I just don't even know where we go from there. I mean, it's going to seem like absolute despair. Absolute despair.
Chaz, it's not true about here's the deal with Josh can't come out saying he has two options, period. He either fires him or he comes out and says this is good enough. That's what he needs to do. Those are his two options. But the idea of he's just going to sit back there, not say anything, leak stories to Jeff Goodman about maybe, talking with players about the situation. All of a sudden, The Athletic comes out with a story. Josh Hurd's quoted in. No. It's time. You make one of the two decisions, but you do it publicly and you do it tomorrow. That's where I'm at. You no more sitting back. No more leaving people wondering what in the hell's going on. We're done with that.
Yeah.
And Chaz says Dusty May or Jerome Tang. Little preview. We'll have. We've been kind of planning some stuff around potential replacements that Kyle and myself and Ty and Ross and Pat and the rest of the cast here have been bantering about in our group chat. And so we'll be doing some of that here in the coming weeks. I think next week probably be a kickoff of a series of different things that we're going to do around discussing the different potential replacements. So don't want you to think we're ignoring those type of comments, but we got some things we think you'll like coming up in the coming weeks with regard to that.
Big Tang Gang guy right here. Big Tang Gang.
Ty,
what?
You're not a big Tang guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely am.
I thought you were the one that was always.
I've been on
Tang since
last year.
He doesn't like Shaka.
Stinky
Shaka.
Shaka. We don't like Stinky Shaka, but Tang Gang, we're all in.
Confused then.
We're all in.
Sensational Shaka probably isn't interested anyway, but he's absolutely towards the top of my wish list. But
according to the other night, he was Stinky Shaka.
Well, terrible Tang the other night too against Nebraska.
Terrible Tang.
I like Tang.
Hey, listen, you were just on here last week doing Tang Gang. You can't switch up.
I don't know. I'd take mediocre Mac at this point.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you're gonna trash Tang,
we're not.
If you're gonna trash Tang, or if you're gonna trash Shaka for losing the other night, well, he lost a better.
Thank you, Desmond.
Nebraska's actually pretty decent too this year, but
I have made my point about Shaka Smart. I won't make it again. I have made my point.
We're not going there as much as it seems like all these dudes are tanking right now for the job. All the guys we think are interesting.
It really does sound like it. Like I think someone put out, like we all like Mick, I think for the most part, but someone even said in the Discord the other day, like, is Mick tanking to get fired so he can get the job? Because they are not having that great a year.
No,
it's not helping his candidacy.
My only issue with Mick is he gets pretty whiny in the press when he starts losing.
Yeah.
I don't want him doing that shit here. Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of good qualities. Don't get me wrong. He's a good coach. And I would not be upset if he was here. But I forgot. I knew there was something I didn't like about Mick Cronin from the Cincinnati days besides his early tournament exits, but I also kind of gave him a little bit of a pass because his situation he inherited there was awful. So I kind of I let that go.
Players is bad.
Yeah, I'll let that go compared to some other coaches where I hold them more accountable for tournament success. But I knew there was something. I just couldn't remember what. And then last 2 weeks, he's been spouting off in the press, throwing players under the bus, throwing administrators. I'm like, that's what it was. I remember now, like Patino would beat him sometimes, and he would get up there and complain about the refs, say we were too physical and all kind of. I didn't like that. So I would take Cronin, but I wish he'd stop
says
doing
at
that.
one point I drove an hour and a half to and from games, and that's another point that I want to make is there are a lot of people like that, like what Larry's saying. Like my mom and dad, they live in Bloomington, and they are season ticket holders for football and drive in for every football game, whether it's a Thursday night game or whatever it is. But like tonight's basketball game, they didn't even watch. They were just remodeling their kitchen. I'm like, that's where we're at right now. Yeah, we got my dad's crazy. A second generation grad. I'm a third generation grad of U of L. And so like U of L blood runs really deep in our family. And my mom and dad didn't even watch the game tonight.
Well, watching our games is more of a chore than remodeling kitchens. So
I agree.
Sadly.
Do we, another thing I'd like to talk about, because it kind of shed some light, I know we mentioned it, but didn't go into details, kind of shed some light on the Karan Davis situation is the Athletic article that came out today.
Yeah.
I think and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, I don't have it pulled up, but the article went into, that rumored fight that caused the Karan Davis suspension that led to a dismissal. And it sounds like wasn't really a physical fight. KP told the players that Karan Davis said, "Fuck you all." And it escalated from there. I'm not sure how that's I figure that shit happens in college practices all the time, but I guess not. So Karan then is not allowed to sit on the bench with the team. He's allowed access to the facilities, is what the article said, and individual instruction with the coaches, but is not allowed to attend games with the team on the bench. They also had an anonymous player, which, this is, again, this is another reason you can't keep Payne around. If you've got players talking to the media, whether it's anonymously or not, saying, that they're backing Karan Davis in this situation, and that the whole situation was weird and they're not sure why Davis was kicked off the team. I mean, you've now got locker room issues.
Maybe it was Zan.
Yeah, I've heard from a good source.
I'm trying not to laugh.
That Zan was the anonymous player talking about his dad. So
sources is I made it up. But
yeah.
Speaking of family relations, man, DJ Wagner played like crap tonight, and we still got our asses kicked.
Yeah, he was awful.
I wasn't very impressed with him at all. I haven't been impressed for a while, but going back to some of the circuits he was running, I thought he was a little overrated. And I know that sounds like bitter berries now. I would have loved to have him compared to, what we had what we ended up inheriting, but he's not quite as good as we thought. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Chaz, CL Brown's question to Kenny Payne tonight about how far away we are. Like, I haven't seen any of the press conference. Did you guys have any interest in bringing that on, or anybody else have any interest in seeing that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple comments about the press conference for sure. I definitely wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in here asking about the press conference. Maybe we should pull it up on Twitter.
I've got a lot of questions about the press conference right now. So
one final ride for Kenny's presser. Are we in?
Do you have it? Like, if we have it pulled up, we can play it, and we can.
I literally got
it. Let's listen to it, and then because I have two things to take away from what he said, and we can go from that.
Sounds good.
I thought you want me to pull it up like right now? Okay.
Yeah. So I heard he said he's going to hit the portal finally and actually focus on it. Okay. You got a bunch of dudes on the third banner pod been complaining about that since he got here, and everybody said we don't need to do that. We can get great players without ever touching many of the portals.
This up with 5 of us on here or no? How will it work?
I don't know.
I
don't know why, but whenever I see Shrewsbury, I always laugh. I don't know why that name makes me laugh.
No, it doesn't.
Oh wow, that looks good. Okay.
There we go.
Let's do it. There's two like I said, I'll stop talking, but there's two things right here.
We played a team they got them.
If you can turn it up, turn it up as loud as you can.
And the reason they're a lot better than 9 is they share the ball, they defend, they have players that can really shoot the ball, really pass the ball. Probably the best passing team that we played. And they're a machine. They keep coming at you and at you and at you. And I thought for the first 10 minutes, we did a really good job, and we affected them some. But as it wore out, we didn't quite keep it going. And we stopped defending the way, and then we didn't share the ball like we should have. And that led to them making runs. Great in transition, great rebounding, and a really good team. Questions?
Kenny, you've been coaching, did speculation about your future. How have you handled that as you continue to do the job?
For me, it's more about how do I get this team better? I feel like we are getting better, keeping them close together. That's been the focus, just living on that.
He answered that about as well as you could.
Russ?
Kenny, you're now 5-7 on the season. Is there anything that you could have done better to have this team more competitive up to this point?
Is
I
that
would
Ty
say,
Spalding?
Yeah, it
obviously,
was.
there's things that I could have done better.
Sounded like him.
There are some games that we lost that we could have won, should have won. On paper, it says we were the better team. I'm not sitting here and saying that I'm not at fault. I'm not happy with where we are, but I also know that we still can get better, and there's a lot of room for growth. But it's not all on the kids. I have to do a better job of getting these guys prepared to play really good teams.
About damn time you say that.
Do you take any satisfaction from the fact that you stuck with it in the second half, actually outscored them by 1, didn't let the lead get to 35 or 40 or whatever?
I talked to
Glad
the
you
guys
didn't get
about
beat
the
by
first 10
40.
minutes of the game, what it felt like, how you had them on their heels
What
a
have we
little bit.
become?
And then I
Who
talked
answered
about
that,
the next
or
2
who
minutes
asked
of the
that,
game
Bozich?
and how
Hey,
we
don't
started
worry.
shooting the
I'm
ball.
gonna
We
get
didn't
it.
have
I'm
assists.
going to get into
Are
that.
you
Don't
glad
worry.
you didn't lose by 40?
We wasn't locked in defensively, and a guy goes off for 22 points. Second half, I think we won the second half by 1. I mean, so
Progress. We
10
won
or
the second
11
half,
minutes
boys.
I made a joke about that on Twitter.
Kenny, you kind of alluded to it,
Should've
but with
stopped the
the I'm
count
over
after the
here
second half.
with a team who has so many offensive weapons in so many ways they can hurt you. What did you want to take away? Like what was kind of the game plan coming in? What you're trying to do?
The game plan was knowing that this is an excellent transition team, and that we had to sprint back and match up. And at times that's hard because it's not just one guy or 2 guys, it's 5 guys that all have the ability to drive it, pass it, and shoot it. The other part of the game plan was making sure that we ran good offense and that we took good shots and play sort of like we played against Pepperdine. They're going to collapse on drives. We can't go in and try to shoot layups on 6'11", 7'1" shot blockers, athletes. So we get them to suck in and we spray the ball out, or we come to jump stop, shot fake, and go to the free throw line. I thought we did that a little bit at the beginning of the first half, and as the half went on, we tried to make the play, make the shot. They blocked the shot.
You kind of just touched upon it back here. In that beginning of the first half, when you guys do come out strong and things kind of started to fizzle out, what I guess was kind of the big reason why that momentum kind of went away and was never able to kind of build back?
Well, I just thought me have to do a better job of explaining to them, listen.
Ash, you gotta keep yourself under control, bro.
To how we got the lead, how we got.
I just can't
even
handle
with them.
that.
How did we do that?
You glad you
And
didn't
have them
lose by
talk,
40?
Coach, we got even with them by moving the ball, driving, taking the ball downhill. Don't play with the ball. Go north-south, get downhill, make them collapse, spray the ball, and get good shots.
Oh,
Brandon did a good job
Ash,
initially of putting
I don't know if
pressure
you've
on
heard
him.
this. It's gonna get worse. Trust
But
me.
as the game
And I'm gonna
sort of
point it out.
progressed,
I'm gonna
we
point it
still
out
have
to you.
find Brandon.
Coach, right here. Just with Tyler, it seemed like he got frustrated at times during this game. What are some of the things that you were able to talk to him about to try to get him back in his game moving forward?
When you're an emotional young man and you're young, right? So he's a freshman, really good basketball player.
Whoops.
And he's playing against really good basketball players, right? So in the heat of the battle, you can't give your spirit to anything other than the task at hand.
Sorry, guys.
If you give your spirit to a bad call and that knocks you out of whack, you're affecting our team. You're affecting your play. If you give your spirit to someone talking trash to you and you want to talk trash back and you play out of character, then you're giving your spirit to something negative that's going to affect us. You're a good basketball player. Trust and be secure in who you are. We need you.
New age
Sorely badly,
metaphysical
we need him to play the right way.
ideology.
Most of the assists we get, he's probably going to be the main guy getting those assists. You can't let it get to where I got to score, or you got to see the game and not give it to the referees who you may feel like they didn't give you a call. That doesn't matter. Keep playing. Keep playing. That's the lesson.
Hey, Kenny, back here. there was a moment in the first half you kind of talked about, things were going so great with that group on the court that started. Did you think about keeping them in the game longer? And then also there was a moment late in the second half where it kind of seemed like you were maybe thinking about calling a timeout when UK went on a big run but didn't. Just wondering what your thought process there was with trying to, after a couple big runs, just trying to throw them off their game.
So if you look at their team, how many guys played, 12 minutes or more? So they got a bunch of guys, right? And so when you play this game and you play a top 5 team and they got a bunch of players, our guys are going to get tired and they need a blow. So we're hoping that we can give guys blows and then come back to them and they be fresh.
What did he say?
So that's
Pause.
the first thing. In the second half, look,
Pause.
the game is teetering. We need to keep this game competitive. You guys got to keep fighting through. You got to keep fighting through. We want to win 4-minute segments, and that's what we talked about doing.
Kenny says you can see, that you're getting better. Like, where are you seeing this team getting better even amid the struggles?
So the first thing is when we're playing well, you see we're getting assists. Again, 14 assists tonight. That should have been 20. When we play that way, we played that way for the first 10 minutes. When we play that way, we're pretty good. When we don't play that way, we look like individuals, not a team.
Kenny, Kyle just said he felt like you're basically a year away from having this program where you would want it. How close do you feel like you are if you were using Kentucky in their roster right now as kind of a measuring stick?
If I'm using Kentucky as a measuring stick, I mean, did you see all those All-Americans out there? The first thing I'll say is I don't know what the game was last year. To me, I see segments where the gap is closing. The gap is closing. And I don't know if fans see it, you guys see it as media people, but the gap is closing. And I feel like we're headed in the right direction. Now, we still got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do. I got to be better. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but when I look at my team, how many really good high school players can walk in here and demand starting time? Not many. I will probably now have to go to the transfer portal and get a guy that's been in college 3 or 4 years to add.
Y'all watch the Third Banner Pod. We've been telling you that forever, Kenny.
At least he's acknowledging it, though. I actually don't think that's a bad answer.
Too late.
We need to pause it because Ty Spalding, I know during the presser, retweeted a tweet from back in July where Kenny was saying that he wants to build it the right way with young guys and didn't want to really use the portal like that. So now we have flipped the script. Unfortunately, Kenny, it is a little late for that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then 5 years from now, say he's going to work on beating the zone. So great.
I think that's
awesome.
A big jump from where we started, where high school kids can't walk in here and outplay a Tyler who has a year in his, or Sky who has 2 years now, or Trey. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we have good players that are very young, and they're only going to get better. So the next step is bringing in transfer guys that can take this over the hump.
Kenny, you get almost 2 weeks right here in the back. You get almost 2 weeks until conference play begins. I'm curious, what do those next 2 weeks or so look like for you? And also, do you like the fact that you have some time between the next game, or do you wish that there was another one?
I love the fact that we got time because we got to get better. We got to get more consistent. I have to look at these first 10 or 12 games and assess what could we do better. And we got time to work on things that we want to do to get this team better. We're getting into conference play now. And, in conference play, the teams are good, but I think that we have shown that we are capable of being competitive. And if you fall asleep on us, we may burn some people.
Yeah, just going back to your comments about, needing the transfer portal. Did you feel like it gives And we talked over the summer, or at least at ACC tip-off, you said you didn't want to value age and, you know, who you're looking for out of the transfer portal. You wanted to find fit. Just any thoughts about, you know, when you look back on that time, just trying to get some more veteran guys because, you know, they can come in and they can add so much just off the jump?
Well, I think when you talk about what we did, you know, we won 4 games last year. So when you go to talk to kids that are high-level kids, they want to know, Coach, are you going to win more than 4 games? How can I come to Louisville and lose and win 4 games? Right? So there's apprehension.
Is that what they actually say to them?
Then on top of that, all the top schools are going after the top.
I ain't coming there to let you win more than 4 games,
So
man.
I have to battle that. And I have to make sure that probably that nobody finds out exactly who the transfer guys are that we're going after, or the top schools are going to get them. It's just the nature of the beast. But I think we're headed in a direction where we're about to make the next jump. And I'm happy with
Hey,
that.
can we pause it?
But also knowing
we pause it. I can't. I was listening to this as I was driving home, and it was driving me absolutely crazy. Okay. 2 things. Okay. First thing, you know, all the smiles aside, the fact that we have to be secretive about who we're recruiting in the transfer portal / who we're recruiting, period, because all the top programs will catch on and will come steal those players. That is a damning comment. That is an absolute damning comment, because that in itself, you're putting Louisville behind other programs. Okay. I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear that, Kenny, that we got to disguise who we're going after in basketball, because the Blue Bloods programs will come after who we're recruiting. You should be recruiting who the top people are, period, and beat them for those players.
Right. Well, and you know why he's saying that? He's saying it because it happened to him.
I about lost. Listen, I about lost my shit when I was on the way home listening to that. Like, I was on a 2-lane road and I wanted to drive off the road when I heard that. Dog, we are Louisville. Are you Louisville? Are you Louisville? Because if you aren't, you're sure as hell ain't spitting like we're Louisville. You're looking at us like we're a little brother. I don't put up with that. Nah, you got to go, bro. You got to go.
Preach.
And that's how I met your mother.
Preach, Ross.
Got to go.
Ross about to come through that screen right now, man. Look.
I was so pissed off listening to that. And there was another comment that he had too, that basically it was before that isolated us and put us in a level below the Blue Bloods. And I can't remember what it was, but, you know, it's just like, this dude has a complete, I don't even know if it's malicious. I really don't even think it's malicious. It's like he's been indoctrinated and brainwashed by Nike for so long that he sees Louisville a certain way. And then we sit here and take on him as our coach because we're told that he's going to have all these Nike recruits, all these Nike connections, all the World Wide West, and then we don't get a single damn thing of it. We don't get any benefit from that whatsoever. Okay, not whatsoever, and he's just stuck here, but he's still spitting that Nike line of, well, Louisville's second class. Louisville's behind. No, dog, you can go. You can go, bro. I listened to you firsthand. I saw you in my face firsthand. I believed in you, man. I believed in you. And I sat here and gave you a chance to do what I thought I believed in you to do for this program. And then you go off and spit this BS. Get out of here, bro. Sorry, you're gone because you don't believe in Louisville. You believe that we're second class. We're not. We're not second class. Be gone.
Well, that's been his damn problem since he's been here. I mean, it was evident, in his first few weeks on the job, man. He did not respect this job as a top job in the country.
No.
He did not.
The New York thing.
If you gave Kenny Payne the opportunity to choose, all equal, to choose on coaching at the University of Louisville as the head coach or the University of Kentucky as the head coach, he's picking UK every day, man. And that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he does not respect this job and he does not respect the city if that's the way he feels.
No, and I'll take it even further, okay? I think that Kenny really does love this program, all right? But I think he loves this program like he loved this program as if he was an assistant for another program. And it's not the same, okay? That being said, I have stories that I know are 100% credible and factual, okay? 100% credible and factual. Everybody in this pod has some LinkedIn connections, so you can take this however you want it. This is me, all right? Kenny showing up to the facility at 10 a.m., leaving at 4:30 p.m. He's one of the last ones in the facility. He's one of the first ones to leave. Okay. How is that for the betterment of the players and the program and the love of the players? You can't find a successful coach at the D1 level that is an alpha, that is a character A that is doing that. That is not the thing. That is not how you win. That is not how you win at this level. So I'm here to tell you right now, Kenny, again, I met you face to face. I had words with you personally, and I would tell you this to your face. You cheated this program. You cheated this program. And I believed in you. And you did not have the best interest by the players. And this job deserves somebody better than what you've put in at this point. And that's all there is to it. The University of Louisville is not second rate. They are not second class to anybody. And, we will find our guy. We will find our guy, and we will find somebody that values that job for what it is. But I'm going to sit here and spit, and you're going to give me this soapbox for a minute. It is what it is. Like, you shafted this program. You can sit there and say all you want, but I have firsthand recollection. You were one of the last ones in the facility and one of the first ones to leave. And you lied to me in my face.
Well, and for me, my frustration now, I've been frustrated, and Ross, I think, speaks for a lot of the frustrated fan base. Nobody's a monolith, but I think a lot of people can relate to what Ross is saying. For me, I'm done. Even Kenny Payne is who he is as the coach. It's not going to change. So for me, all of my eye right now is directed at Josh Hurd. My line of sight is directed at Josh Hurd. It's up to you, man. This is your program. This is your athletic department. He's not going to change. You know he's always going to be 2 steps behind what everybody else is doing, talking about recruiting a portal. Well, 2021 called and they want their ideology back because that's been a thing for 2 or 3 years now. So we know what we get out of him. But I'm now looking, I always move up the ladder. Like there's 2 ways you can deal and cope with things. There's people that move low down to the low end of the spectrum, which makes no sense to me. That's blaming the fans. So every time we lose a game, it's the fans' fault. Every time people don't show up, it's because the fans just didn't care enough. There's people like that. I don't even give those people any time of day because that's not how responsibility and leadership work at all. You have a job to do your job. You're responsible for it. And when you're not doing your job, I eventually look at the person above you. I don't look at the fans. I don't move down the totem pole. I move up to the top. So I'm looking at Josh Hurd and I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? So I said it earlier, but the clock's ticking, man. The clock is ticking. And if you're going to keep him, and people are going to be pissed if you keep him, but you need to get up to the podium and say it. If you can't even confidently walk up there and back your head coach, then what are you doing? You don't even believe in it. That's the problem. Like, if you don't back your head coach publicly, then that just tells me everything I need to know. But it tells me, you're just not going to say it. You're just going to let everybody sit in limbo. No, man. If you're going to back that coach, you get up there tomorrow and you say he's sticking it out for the rest of the year. And if you're going to move on, tomorrow we should hear something. He's stepping down or, you've reached a renegotiations. And if that doesn't happen, then he's fired. So that's your options. He leaves or he stays for the rest of the season. And it needs to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everybody. Ross, you're kind of preaching to the choir. We were sold a bill of goods with the hiring of Kenny Payne that none of has come to fruition. I talked about it last week when prominent people that would know try to go ahead and let everybody off the hook, knowing that he was going to be the next hire, and recruiting was going to be great. We're going to bring in so many great players, and we're going to be Kentucky light, but Adidas. And none of that's happened. I even remember back to when Brandon Huntley Hatfield committed. I think a lot of us, we all just thought, oh, this is it. It's finally starting, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg, and it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, and on the court, it's been a complete disaster. And I'm not going to support it with my money. I'm not going to support it with my time. My time and money is very precious to me, and I'm not going to give U of L money to go to these games and buy tickets and buy merch and donate and stuff like that for a product that I think is terrible. I'm just not going to do it. I've already bought season tickets for football. I love what we're doing in football, and maybe basketball will get there at one point, but as of right now, it's not. This has been a total disaster, and yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it. We are all in agreement. We're all in unison. It's time to move on.
Before you guys transition, I'm gonna go ahead and step out. I've been pretty sick all day today and yesterday. I wanted to come on here though, so you guys go ahead and take it easy. I'm gonna head out.
Hopefully, we'll be bring you back on for another emergency pod in the very near future.
Well, hopefully, I feel better now than I did this time last night, but I still don't feel great.
Sorry to hear you're not feeling good, man.
I've yawned 20 times on this episode because I'm dead. So you guys have a good one. I'm gonna listen though.
All right,
Kyle, I completely know where you're at, man. It is very rough, and I hope you feel better, bud. Just let the poison out, so to speak.
I took a really hot bath.
Let that poison out.
Yeah.
One way or another, and just get better.
Come on, Ross, too descriptive.
Is it? I thought I was pretty. I thought I was pretty vague. Let the poison out.
All right, thank y'all, and I'm gonna watch from afar. I'll be in the
feel better, brother. See you.
All right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and drop down the link to the StreamYard. So if somebody wants to come on and give their take, feel free. I know. It looks like Chaz, who's a frequent caller on the radio shows in town. So we're going to drop this links just like you're on the radio. So feel free to hop on and give a quick take and we'll put you on real quick. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I also want to tell people too when you I mean, some people might not want to show their face, and you can make it so that you're just talking.
Yeah, you don't have to show the
your
camera.
video's not on.
If you don't want to, I mean, we're not saying you don't. We're not
Yeah,
saying you're not allowed to, but we're saying like if you're camera shy, you can turn the camera off too, and just give your voice take.
Right.
While we're waiting on that, I'll be right back. I'm gonna remove myself for just a second.
All right. Well, guys, I can't say it enough, like how much I am frustrated. I know we all anticipated losing this game, but like I just can't take losing to Kentucky. Like another loss. I mean,
it's become too much of a common occurrence in both sports.
Like I feel like we should never just be okay with it. We've got Desmond coming on to give his take. I'm going to go ahead and add him to the stage here, and we'll let him give his take. Welcome, Desmond. Thanks for calling us in again.
Yeah, how you doing? How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I mean, I watched a little bit of the game while I was at work, but like, I wasn't really. I mean, I'm not really mad. I mean, I'm sorry that you feel that way, Ross, about the whole Payne thing. That's what kind of makes me kind of hurt, like such strong that you feel that way. But, I mean, it is what it is. And I do respect the work that y'all doing, though, telling your points of view. So I respectfully disagree. That's the point that I'm not saying that he don't need to be, I'm not saying that he don't need to stay in there like that. But I respect, how y'all feel or whatnot. But I just feel that, like you said, if Josh Hurt need to do something, he need to do something, just something tomorrow about what's going to happen or whatnot. So we just try to move on and heal from it. It's been a rough year.
It has been a rough year.
Yeah, I mean, Desmond, listen, what I say doesn't come lightly. Okay, I was one of the very fortunate ones that got to go and meet KP in these very intimate settings, very small group, and got to get in there and meet players, got to meet him, got to talk to him firsthand. And I'm going to tell you, and everybody in this pod will tell you, after I had that experience, my mind and my point of view was completely flipped. Was completely on board. And one of the things that Kenny told me it was, if you hear me say what I say, how could you hear me say all these things, how could you be against me? And that resonated with me deeply. Okay, it resonated with me deeply. And so I took that and I ran with it. Okay, because I want to believe that Kenny Payne is going to be that guy that's going to bring our basketball program back to prominence. And he's going to have all this lore and all this success like we're seeing with Brom on the football program. Okay, I wanted that to happen more than anything, more than you would ever know, because I believe in fairy tale book endings. Okay. And I believed in Kenny Payne, but that did not happen. And then when I hear from my connections that nothing's changed at all. He's getting to the athletic facilities late. The players are there 2-3 hours before he is. He's leaving where the players are. That's a problem, man. That is a problem.
Okay.
That's not okay. And I'm telling you here right now, successful programs, they don't have coaches and coaching staffs that react that way. Okay, it just doesn't happen. And I know that what I've heard and what I've been told is factual. And that's up to you to take that, whether that is fact or not. But I'm not the only one that's saying it. I will say that. And it's a problem. It's a major problem. So for me, when I got a guy like Kenny Payne, I give him a pass on year one. And then I don't hear that anything changed. I still hear about laziness. I don't hear about commitment. You don't believe in this program. And then when I hear you talk about how you put us basically second level, about how if other programs hear about who we're recruiting, they'll go and take your players. Come on, dog. Don't give me that. We know what success looks like here. It's time. It is time. He earned the credit that he got, and it is time. It's done. It's done, man. And he did that to himself. Consequences and repercussions have meaning, and he earned those. We don't have to sit there and just bag somebody and be behind their back no matter what, based on what they've done and what they've said. Okay? Sometimes you're just wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. I believed in him in the summer, and he proved me wrong. It's time to move on. Sometimes you're always right.
Desmond, I got a quick question, and we're gonna kind of got some other guys lined up. We'll kind of move on, but Desmond, we want to ask you since we got you here, what's next, man? What do you want to see next from the program? Who do you think we could possibly look forward to?
I just want to get a coach to be silly, but I'm saying I just want the same energy that y'all give it down to the next coach. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If he's doing good, I just want that same energy. That's all. I just want a successful coach. Yeah, that's all I want. Because it seems like with I don't know. I just want the same energy, but I want mine. I just want. I'll be honest with you. I just want another black successful coach. And I'll be honest with you because I'm very pro black. I'm not gonna niggas white coach no. Yeah, I just want a successful black coach that wanted us to be successful. It don't have to be white. It may be white too, but I just want the same smoke as we give every coach. That's all I want. Same smoke.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Desmond, can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I think that was one of the absolute best things that made the Charlie Strong tenure as strong and as powerful as it did. All right. Because not only did we throw that out there on a high level, and the performance of our players and the players that we were putting out there was a high level, it was a black man that was leading that program. And you had a black man that was leading the defense in Vance Bedford. Like, I'm 100% online with you. So you won't hear me tuck tail and run 2 seconds from that narrative whatsoever. I will hold that same energy going forward. What we had in Charlie was magical. And what we had in that staff was magical. And when you look at what we had with Charlie, Vance Bedford, Clint Hurt, Sharon Moore, who ended up being the interim coach at Michigan while Harbaugh was suspended, that wasn't a fluke. We had real energy and real magic at that point. So I will tell you, you won't hear me ever run from that 100%. Okay. So if the next dude is Jerome Tang and that dude succeeds to 110%, I'm going to be on that dude's level 110% because he will earn me. Charlie earned me. Okay. Like, I'll be honest, I was on the Charlie bus day one. So I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Like, there's a lot more with us, with you and with us than are not. I will just tell you that.
Yeah.
See, I agree. But I'm saying something real quick before I go. I respect y'all and y'all opinions. I mean, I don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, but it is what it is. There's some does have to change though, because it can't keep going. I don't want everybody just to be happy again, you know, and just be able to get along with each other, because this is about a lot of friction between all of us and fans. And that's what I don't like.
It's toxic, and it is absolutely toxic. And I'll go on the flip side of it, and then we can move on. Okay. But we got fans out there that are calling out, KP supporters and throwing them on blast for their support. That ain't the answer. Y'all need to stop that. That needs to end right now, okay? Because nobody should ever be hated or criticized for their support in a U of L program. Okay, you could be wrong, that's fine, but we don't need other fans putting other fans on blast. That ain't the answer. The way that we get forward and we move forward and we get stronger is together. So stop this divide and cut that shit out.
True. And that's what I said before. That's the internet said I want to say, but that's what. Thank you for letting me talk again. And I'll be listening, and I'll be definitely coming up here again to say my opinion. That's what. Thank y'all. Man. I hope y'all a good night.
All right, thanks for coming on, Desmond. Appreciate you. We're gonna bring on Captain Hampton in his second trip to the third banner pod, and after Captain Hampton, we'll have Chaz come on next. So, Captain Hampton, welcome to the third banner pod again.
Heyo. It's actually my third time, I think.
Oh, is it the third? My bad.
Yeah. After the
I do remember that now. My bad.
Hey.
But first of all, man, football's got me hyped.
Are you calling from your are you calling in from your basement?
No, I'm outside.
No, he's outside.
I'm dead inside. I wanted to feel something, so I went outside.
We all are, man. We all are.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I didn't even follow the game. My kid had a band recital thing, Christmas thing. I didn't even keep up with the score. I just couldn't. I'm speaking from all the fans that are kind of dead inside at this point. Like, the game didn't even bother me, and I didn't really care, which is sad. That.
Uh-oh. Are we losing you? Are we losing him?
Give him a sec. It might just be glitched out.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we're back. We got you back now. Uh-oh.
Might have to bring.
Yeah, while he gets his internet fixed up, I'm going to bring Chaz on. Chaz, welcome to the third banner pod.
Chaz, welcome to the third banner pod.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
Man. What do you got to say about the game tonight and the current state of affairs?
So I talked to Ross the other night. We actually read J.D. Becker, and I've been to a lot of games. I played college basketball. I've never left or gotten disappointed with an effort of a game. It was the Arkansas State game. I stayed the entire game. I called in after the game. I was already mad in the car coming home. I got more mad listening to KP, and I was like Ross in the car tonight on the way back. I was in Shelbyville with a bunch of UK fans. My in-laws are UK, but they're nice UK. They're not nasty. And, man, it's just listening to this guy. He talks about that he's a Louisville man, but I don't feel like he's a Louisville man. I feel like we're the stepbrother, and he just wants to be in the family 70 miles east. It's just, we are Louisville. We are a top 5 program. We should never settle for this guy. I'm sorry. I know, Ross, you met him, and you were believe. I've never been a believer. He was 55 years old, and he was a lifelong assistant. There's a reason that he was never a head coach. I think we should pay him everything. He's a Louisville man. We pay him everything. And tomorrow we end this. I'm ready to move on. I don't care if it's Nolan. I'm not a big fan of Danny Manning. He's been fired from his last 2 jobs. So give somebody else an opportunity. This team has talent. There's no excuse for, I don't expect us to win the national championship, but you expect to beat teams like Arkansas State and Bellarmine and Chattanooga, DePaul. These are teams that we should not be losing to, much less in the game with. Occasionally here and there, we are always going to have a clunker. Every team does. I mean, Kentucky lost to Wilmington at home, but we should never lose exhibitions to Division II teams and then hear him say that we're never going to win on talent. Well, that's the one time that you should be able to win on talent.
Yeah, I was pretty appalled at that.
I'm done. I'm ready to move on and see the next chapter. We can improve in 1 year. I think, for me, I said it to Ross the other night. I'm on the Dusty May. He's 1A for me, and probably Tang is 1B.
My only thing is, and we'll give our comments on the coaching searches. Like I said, we've got some stuff, features coming up in the coming weeks. But my only thing about the two of them is I feel like our next hire is so critical that it absolutely has to be kind of a slam dunk coach because we're on the precipice of becoming permanently irrelevant. And so you can't just roll the dice on somebody that's had 1 year of positive, coaching history. You really need to have a bigger resume, in my opinion. Now, having said that, I think either one of those guys could nail it out of the park. But they just wouldn't be my number ones.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. Sorry, Chaz, go ahead.
I just, watching this team play is, you've got, guys that are top 100 guys. Like listening to him say, they have all these All-Americans. Well, we have Brady Huntley Hatfield was a top 5 player coming out of his class. Like listening to him try to coach this kid, like in the interview with Paul Rogers and Bob Valvano, he's like, Brandon finished 7 for 7, I think, tonight, or 8 for 8. And we went away from him. I mean, he was dominating in the first half. Bradshaw was irrelevant in this game, in my opinion. I mean, he had 4 fouls. Huntley Hatfield was in his head. And it's like he posts up hard and we don't look for him to get the ball. Get him the ball. He's the best player on our team. I agree with you all with Tyler tonight. He didn't have it tonight. I mean, I felt like he's been the most consistent player the last probably 6-7 games. He didn't have it tonight. And some nights you have it. But for me, frustrating to watch was defensively. This team just doesn't get it defensively. I mean, Kentucky scored 95. I mean, people forget UMBC scored 93. We just don't have that gear defensively. And when a guy like Reeves is going off, somebody step up and say, I got him. Be the defensive captain. Say he's not going to score. I'm not going to let him touch the ball. Yeah, I know he's going to hit some tough shots, but man, step up, have some heart. And I feel like sometimes that's part of coaching. Like throw some of these guys out there like Hersey Miller. Let them have a chance. Put them out there. Let them pump their heart. It's just, I think that's the frustrating part for me. And, guys, but I'm anxious for the future. I think tomorrow we start a new future, and hopefully it's brighter than what we've had.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chaz, for coming on and giving your take. Appreciate you joining on board tonight, and feel free to call us in the future. We'd love to have your comments on future shows. Just wanted to thank you for listening and coming on and giving your take tonight. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm with him. Like, you have a situation where you have like Kenny talking about us like we are little brother, and he was like, he basically played it up in the sense like we were the underdog, we were the major underdog, and it's going to be up to us to do everything right to be able to compete with a team like Kentucky. Like, don't give me that. One of the best Kentucky teams to ever be assembled was upset by a U of L team in that year when Kentucky won the championship. Okay. So I don't want to hear that. Like, I just don't want to hear that. That is not the mentality that we need at Louisville. You do not. And you pair that up with the fact that yesterday, I don't even put a whole lot into this, but you take those comments, those 2 things that I've commented on, and then you pair it up with what he said yesterday, that Cal wants to beat my brains out. He wants to beat my brains out, and I want to beat him by 1. You are telling us where your mind is at, Kenny. Like, whether you mean to or not, you're telling us where you look at Louisville on a psychological level compared to Kentucky. That you're not the guy for the job. Sorry, you're not, because we've got dudes that are lining up right now that believe in Louisville, and Louisville's not second class to Kentucky. And we're going to get one of them, and we're not going to think a second about it. So I hate to tell you, but this is coming to an end, and we're not going to. I hate it. I hate it for you, Kenny. I really do. Not to carry on. I hate it for you because I believed in you. I was one of your biggest fans, and you did not carry out what you told me, man. You did not. You didn't.
Let's go on to Captain Hampton. Let's bring him in.
All right. Welcome your fourth trip to the Third Banner Pod, Captain
Yeah.
Hampton. How are you?
I'm back. Good. I'm inside now. I was walking around outside, but
you're no longer dead inside, huh?
Yeah, dead inside. Yeah, I drank Ross's Kool-Aid this summer. I didn't know he had poisoned it, but
yeah, I was right there too.
I really wanted things to work out with KP. They're obviously not working out. It's like watching the team is kind of like watching a middle school basketball team, because you're like, what the heck's going on? People aren't moving. People aren't hustling. Some people are. You just don't know what the heck's going on. And I'm at the point, yeah, obviously I want KP gone. He's not the guy for the job, but my thought process is for his buyout going from 8 to 6 million is if we just wait till the end of the year. I mean, the team's not going to be not much better with Danny Manning. In my opinion, he's not the guy. Nolan Smith, he doesn't even want to be here. So neither of those guys are an option to coach. I mean, they'd have to bring a new staff in, but we're not going to get many more wins. Sure, we're going to get a boost in fans, but not that much. The product's still not going to be that good. So would we really would it be worth it to save $2 million to keep him here? I mean, he's killing the vibes, but to save that money. And then the other thing too is we saw this with Chris Mack, is when teams saw that there was a vacancy in Louisville. It's a top tier job, top 10 job in the country. We saw them, like Auburn, lock up Bruce Pearl. Would we see? Do you think we'd see that again? And that's kind of where I'm at in the process. I'm, dead inside for Louisville basketball, which is sad. And, doesn't matter to me if they fire him right away. If they do, great. If they don't and fire him at the season, whatever at this point. But there's kind of, I see positives and negatives from a financial prospect, and then also with trying to get a new coach in here.
I'll let our financial expert give us the breakdown on that. Pat, what do you think? You think we ought to, save the $2 million and wait and do it at the end, or what do you think?
No, man. My financial expertise here are going to be as good as anybody else's, but I think, a couple things here from a financial standpoint. I think, the 2 million is what it is. We're a program that brings in 130 million in revenue a year. And I know we've got some bad debt on our books with these other buyouts and stuff, but $2 million shouldn't be what is stopping us from doing something. And also I've heard this on Captain Hampton brought up something that I've heard on talk radio these past couple of weeks. And it's the question of, if we fire Kenny today instead of at the end of the season, do we give these programs an opportunity to re-up on their coaches, extend them with more money and stuff like that? And I think the answer is these programs and these coaches' agents know that regardless of whether Kenny's fired today or at the end of the season, they know that we're going to come after their coaches. So I don't think it makes much of a difference from that standpoint. I don't think we're locking out any coaches by firing Kenny today because their schools are going to give them more money. That would happen at the end of the season too. So I don't see that being an issue. I've heard it. Captain Hampton isn't the first person that I've heard talk about that. I've heard it on all of the talk radio shows, and I don't think that's a legitimate excuse to keeping him till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
those are some good points. I haven't heard anybody put it that way, Pat. So, yeah, that really puts it in perspective. Because I remember when I was at U of L in the SPAD program, I remember U of L was only a handful of countries that operated not in the red for college athletics. So, those are some good points there. So, I guess I'm on the Payne of firing right away now.
There you go.
Ty,
And then
what did
one
you
more
want to
point.
say about that?
I'm gonna jump off of here, but man, I'm excited for football next year. I think everybody is. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you, Captain Hampton.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thanks for joining.
McKay,
the
you
man.
Ty, I think you wanted to make a point about the possibly waiting a little time.
Yeah, I wanted to make 2 points. Sorry, I didn't really get to say much last little bit. So I want to go back to Desmond's call in a little bit. I want to mention that, but we were talking about like other coaches and possibly getting extended and stuff if we make the decision now. In terms of like the obvious names and the ones that we hear a lot, I don't know that that's going to really apply much. Like Mick Cronin just recently got an extension at UCLA, correct? It was just like a year or two ago. I don't foresee him getting another in response to us opening up. Jerome Tang, there is so much smoke about his relationship currently with the university, with the president, and I think there's a lot of people that think that he's going to probably try to get away out of that situation. Obviously, us just sitting here, we don't know anything in particular concrete, but there's just a lot of smoke about that. Dusty May would probably be the only other one, and maybe they extend him, but it's also at the same time it's Florida Atlantic. If you can't compete finance wise with Florida Atlantic, then I just don't know. But I want to go back to,
because we absolutely can.
Right. I want to go back to Desmond's call. And Desmond, I know you mentioned like you don't necessarily agree with a lot of stuff we say, but you respect it. And I want you to know, like, seriously, I respect that for you coming in here.
That means the world.
But listening to us, even if you don't agree, you're just coming in still spitballing. I respect that, brother. I appreciate it. I do. You mentioned that you want the same energy to be kept for the next coach. And I'm going to be honest, it's going to be because we expect something here. This is a tough topic to talk about, especially when you look at your screen here and you see 4 white dudes and obviously Kenny is black, our first black coach. But what I don't want is race to become such a big proponent in this. I know this is hard to talk about, but it shouldn't matter skin color. We should be hiring the best coach. And I don't think that matters because, and we'll go deeper in the coming weeks about, who's on our list and stuff. But Jerome Tang is up at the very top of my list. I've been a big fan of Jerome Tang for a long time now. And I'm not going to be upset at all if he's the next hire.
I laugh because you say for a long time, but he's been a head coach for like 13 months.
Well, no, I was on him. I was on him last year, and I was on him when he was assistant at Baylor. He was a huge part of their success. So
no, I'm just messing with you a little bit,
right? But that shouldn't matter, and I don't think it will. Fans expect things here. We expect to be great, and sadly enough, Kenny just hasn't achieved that. So the energy is going to remain the same. It's going to be the same. It's not. I just don't want it to turn into like Kenny was treated unfairly because he's black. He wasn't. That's not what it is. It's never been that way with me. I know it's never been that way with us here. I can say that for a fact. I know that's not what it is. It's strictly about what we've seen on the court, we've seen and heard off the court. This has been a total disaster. And
I mean,
if the next coach is black, white, purple, it doesn't matter to me. Jerome Tang is another excellent black head coach. that I think is up at the top of my list, and I think Mick Cronin is also at the top of my list. And none of that's going to matter to me, at least.
Hey, I'm about to set the YouTube algorithm on fire. Okay, I'm about to set it on fire. Yeah. If the UAP disclosure, UAP disclosure, I'm gonna say it twice. If the UAP disclosure 3 times gave us an alien that wanted to come forth and lead Louisville basketball to most wins and said, hey, I can get you the most wins. We're going to win the most championships. I might, if they had something to sell me, I might do it, right? Because they're an extraterrestrial being from another galaxy from far, far away. And, I might do it. So it has nothing to do with color, race, anything. It has nothing to do with that. Just make me believe in you. And then once I believe in you, show me the results. In the end, that's all that matters. Are you going to win? Win. Beat teams. Don't beat teams that are BS. Don't tightly contest teams that are in the low 300s. Let's have the things that we're used to when Denny Crum was here, and he set the precedent of we will play anybody, everybody, out of conference, anytime, anywhere, and we will go and do that, and we'll just beat them. Like, play the best teams anytime, and let's roll and let's beat them. Because if you're a good team, you're a good team. I mean, the end. It's not hard. It doesn't have to be political. Just win basketball games. Just be good at what you do.
And hey, I want to interrupt, Ross. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Hey, guys, in the comments, we don't need to attack anybody here. That's not what Desmond's going for. We're not.
Yeah.
It's just me spitballing. We had callers lined up. I wanted to mention it then, but we wanted to get to guys, not waste people's time. So I'm bringing it back up. We're not attacking nobody. So go ahead, knock that off, guys. It's not necessary. Desmond came in, gave his opinion. If you all want to come in and give yours and be respectful, you're more than welcome to. We've posted the link. We'll post it again. And nobody's bringing up racism. That's not what this is. So this is just, me going back to what Desmond was saying and responding to Desmond. He's given his opinion and he's been respectful about it. So, that's what it is.
It's like I said, I mean, like to Desmond's point, like all of us, we will keep that same energy 100% all day.
Absolutely.
It has nothing
because
to
that's
do.
what we expect. That's what we
Yeah,
expect.
I mean, you all know I had that energy with Chris Mack.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I mean,
Well, and I was one of the people, I will say this, and I've been, I've got to kind of eat some crow right now because I was pretty much hook, line, and sinker on the Kenny bandwagon. Like when Coach Mack left, I was like, man, go get Kenny Payne. I thought that he would be able to come in and be successful, but
why did you think that was? Why?
I had talked to some basketball people on the West Coast in my previous career that had told me some very positive things. One is a former Pac-12 men's basketball coach that told me that he thought Kenny Payne would be a good head coach someday.
Mm-hmm.
And this was years ago. This wasn't recent. This was like 3 or 4 years ago that head coach told me that. This was 2019, so it's 4 years ago now. Former Pac-12 and Big Ten athletic director told me the same thing, that they thought that Kenny Payne could eventually be a good head coach. So when the Chris Mack thing went down, I was like, man, we got to get Kenny Payne in here.
Yeah.
Because I thought he would, I remember those conversations that I had, and I thought that he would end up knocking it out of the park. Because one of the things, like I'm not going to bash Rick Pitino because obviously he did so much good for us, and I love Rick to death, and I love the memories that we have from Rick. But the one thing that I always hated was it felt like we were isolating the previous generation's players. And I love that Chris Mack started welcoming those guys back. And I thought the final bridge to reuniting all of our former players and bringing them back into the fold would be to bring somebody like Kenny Payne back. So all of those combinations of things just made me buy into it. And then obviously when we lost to Lenore Ryan, and I was like, man, this first season is going to be a disaster. So I kind of tuned most of those games out last year. But then last summer, like, you know, I was looking at Trent Flowers, Tyler Johnson. I was like, man, I'm really liking what's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was totally bought in, especially after you went and had your little meeting with Kenny over the summer. I don't remember if that was like a practice or what that was. But after you gave your report here on the pod, breaking down what you talked about or what you heard at that, I was just totally bought in again.
Yeah.
So
I'm
one of the guys that was rooting for him hard.
Yeah, I think too. This will be short, Ross, but I think too. For Kenny's sake, you know, looking back on all this, and who knows if he would have been successful or not, but I wish he would have earlier in his career taken, if he wanted to be a head coach, taken a job that wasn't as pressure filled as the U of L job, especially for him as a former player, to understand what it was like being a head coach and the differences between being the main assistant and a head coach responsible for the program. And then figuring out, one, if that's what, you know, really motivated him and what he wanted to do. And two, if he could do it at a big time level like U of L. That's where I do feel some kind of remorse for him in the fact that, and he took the job, it was his decision, but being thrown into, you know, the fire here after a bunch of, you know, turmoil with, you know, how the Chris Mack stuff ended and losing seasons. It was a hard situation and a hard job. And unfortunately he failed, and he didn't have that prior experience that would have been nice, because maybe he would have figured out that this wasn't for him, or maybe that experience would have helped him do a better job here.
Be more prepared. And if you remember a couple of years previous to taking the job, he was pretty much considered a lock to get the DePaul job, with Dwayne Peavy being the athletic director there. Dwayne Peavy was previously at the University of Kentucky in their athletic department. And when he got the AD job at DePaul, and they had a men's basketball head coaching position open, it was very well documented that it looked like Kenny Payne was going to get that job. But then Kenny pulled his name out of the running for that job. So you kind of wish that he would have got it to either be more prepared for a job like ours, or that we could have seen in advance. You know, maybe he wasn't going to be the guy. I hate to say that, but kind of wish that he would have not withdrawn his name from consideration at that point.
Yeah.
And then Chaz up here is like, we're all Louisville fans, period. We're all hurting and mad, but let's get back to the point. We're taking it we're taking it back out on UK. So I just had to fuck UK. Right. I mean, that's all of our thoughts right now. Like, I can't stand UK. I hate UK in every sport. I want to beat their asses, whether it's, you know, lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, women's basketball, volleyball, softball, baseball, football, men's basketball. I am tired of seeing us lose in football and men's basketball. We got to beat their asses next year. There ain't no time to wait.
Yeah.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the state of things, but
I agree with that. And also, man, seeing Jack Harlow, man, as the pod, our New Year's resolution should be by the end of the year to have Jack Harlow as a
By the end of the year, that's like
no, end of next year. New Year's resolution, man. New Year's resolution. By the end of next year, we want Jack Harlow on the pod. So everybody in the comments now, man, you hit up Jack Harlow's PM box and tell him to come on the Third Banner pod by the end of next year, man. That's my goal for the pod.
Well, guys, I think we've kind of all stated our thoughts about where the program is, how the game went, and their thoughts on the game. Does anybody have any final thoughts? I'll start with you, Ty. Any final thoughts tonight?
No, just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Seriously, we all appreciate it, every one of us. This has been kind of a wild ride for us the last few weeks, just here with the podcast. We've had a lot of momentum, a lot of new viewers and subs, and just want to thank you all for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. And if this word of mouth is awesome. If you keep spreading us out, we love to reach more people and reach more Cards fans. And in terms of current basketball situation, we've touched them all, boys. We've touched them all. We've hit on everything. It's time to move on. Hopefully this weekend we'll have some good news, and we can kind of look forward to the rest of the season and next season and on. So let's try to get this back on track.
Do we want to give a teaser before we get off here?
What do you mean a teaser?
I mean,
what are we teasing, Ross?
Yeah, sounds like you're going to be teasing us too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
think of what you're teasing now. Go easy here. The way you've been acting tonight, I'm not sure I want to know what you're teasing.
I'm gonna keep that thumb on top. All right, like you're not gonna explode on me.
Hold the phone.
Oh,
well, we just lost 30 viewers.
No, we just gained 69 viewers.
Okay, Pat, what are your final thoughts tonight?
All right, no, I'm for real. I'm going. Okay, I'm going. The teaser is that if we get news in the next 18 hours, because it's not 24 hours at this point, 18 hours. If we get 18 hours, who are you all going to be happy with? Because if we get news that it's not KP anymore and we move on, we're going to have an interim staff. At that point, we're going to have 2 to 3 months of this talk of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Are you going to be happy with a Mick Cronin? Are you going to be happy with a Scott Drew? You're going to be happy with a Nate Oates, a Jerome Tang? Are you going to be happy with, a Chris Beard, a Buzz Williams?
No, all the above until that one. Come on, Ross.
You pretty much had me until the last
vibe.
No, listen. We got to involve all names. Are you going to be happy with a Jay Wright? You got to make him say no. Correct. I didn't say you got to make him say no, right? I said you got to make him say no, correct? So, we know that Hurd has a connection with Jay Wright. We don't know. I don't think most of us know what that connection is, but let's see what happens. Like we are going to be playing this game once the train gets moving and Kenny's not the guy anymore. We're going to be on this train for the next 3 to 4 months. Okay. So y'all just buckle in, put down your TV trays and just ride the train and watch your movie, because it's not going to end anytime soon, because this is the way it's going to be. It's the way it's going to be. And we're going to be sitting here for a while. So just keep tuning in and just keep watching what is happening around you.
Pat, what'd you have? What was your final thoughts?
First of all, my first thought is I'm not sure if Ross was asking a question there, making a statement, or having an epiphany, man.
A little bit of both.
A little of all the above.
But I will say again, thanks for everybody tuning in. Again, our as Ty said, we've grown a lot these past few weeks, and we appreciate all the new listeners out there. And also, we'd love to have any feedback of stuff you want us to hit on, and anything you think that we need to improve on. Whatever, we love feedback. So obviously, write in the comments, PM us, whatever. My last thought on tonight. Hey, listen, what Ash has hit on, it always sucks to lose to the University of Kentucky. And it's happened way too often. And hopefully, I'm hoping we've got a football coach in here that's going to stop it. We need a basketball coach here that's going to stop it. And the next hire, I'm not saying I have any favorites at this point, but when Herb gets in a room with these guys to interview them and does his background research talking to people, he's got to find a guy who is going to be a Louisville guy who thinks Louisville is a top-notch program. He's not coming in here saying, hey, I got to get Louisville to that next step. No, we're a top-notch program. What are you going to do with the resources that a top-notch program like us has? We need someone who's passionate and can connect with the fan base. And we need someone who's going to live, breathe, and sleep basketball, man. Those are the successful coaches in college basketball, not the guys that are taking out their kid fishing on a Sunday, not the guys that are on the golf course. We need people that are going to be in the facility 24/7. Rick Pitino and Denny Crum were those type of people. And to get the next Hall of Fame coach here, which is what I want, we need to find out in those interviews who is going to be in that facility and breathing basketball 24/7.
Amen. Just want to wrap up the show tonight, thanking everybody for watching. If you are just stumbling upon us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you keep catching our content in the future. If you're one of our loyal viewers, hopefully you had a chance to. We unveiled a new segment, a new feature for the channel yesterday called Louisville Lore, where I gave my opinion on the top 10 U of L pros today. So hopefully you got a chance to watch that. Did anybody get a chance to see my big blunder in that? Anybody see what I goofed up?
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith's a cornerback as well as a catcher.
I didn't know if anybody actually
talented Will Smith.
Will Smith is multifaceted. I mean, he's hitting home runs on the baseball field and apparently getting 10 interceptions. So
he's the Deion Sanders of our time.
Got to make sure I check those slides when I copy them over. So, but the next one that we're going to do is I've been putting one together with Ty. We're going to unveil Ty's top 10 favorite Louisville basketball players of all time on the next one. So if anybody has any suggestions for future top 10s or historical revisits, one of the things I'd like to do is revisit the 1997 season at some point, because I was a senior in high school that year. So that run to the Elite Eight was one of my favorite basketball teams of all time. DeJuan Wheat, carrying that team on his back. So that's one of the things that I want to do, but eventually. But if you guys have any historical things you'd like us to kind of document and just put together in the Louisville Lore feature, let us know in the comments, because definitely would love to get some feedback on what you guys want to see. Top 10 Kenny Payne wins, I don't think it's going to work, Steve, you all cards. But my final thought, other than that,
consider he's at 9.
My final thought is I hate UK. I hate UK. I hate UK. I'm tired of losing to them. It ruins my night. It ruins my Christmas every time we lose them. I hate it when we play them before Christmas. That even shows you the state of things is that we played them before Christmas this year. Like, come on. That game needs to be after Christmas. Almost as bad as, do you remember in the 93-94 season, Ross? We actually played UK as the very first game of the year. That was even weirder. So DeJuan Wheat's first game as a Cardinal was in Rupp against UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, UK sucks. I hate them. Go Cards.
Go Cards. Go Kroger.
Night, y'all.
See you guys.
Night, everybody.